Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the After Dark Show with Don Rogers. This episode is going to be a special one because I am being joined by an international guest today, who actually, my partner, Canadian Spinja, and I kind of found at the exact same time, which, coincidence, right? Rolls eyes. Um, he is the host of a show on YouTube called Ghost Hunters UK, and his name is Jared Roberts, and he has an absolutely fascinating channel. I'm just gonna give him a quick plug here before we even get into this. Is like go over. I've had a chance to check out a couple of his videos, which we'll get into later. And he has some amazing video evidence and some interaction with some energies that might have some different explanations of the reality that we currently understand. So, Jared, without any further ado, do you want to introduce yourself to everybody and give everybody a quick backstory on how you got into this and what got you interested in all of that wonderful stuff?
I do. I'm Jared Roberts. I come from Ghosthunteruk.xx UK. Massive thank you to Don here for letting me on. I've been looking forward to this for quite a while. I enjoy chatting to people about it. I started a channel called Ghosthunteruk.xx UK because a few years ago, well, far long before I started the channel, I was playing with some toys in the bedroom. This is the experience I had that made me think about it. I heard a lady like say, "Shh, be quiet now," and my mum was at the house. My mum was out. She was in work. And I was like, but there's no other lady in the house. My dad was downstairs. He didn't say anything. And somebody told me to be quiet. So I always had the feeling from then that was my great grandmother because there was a lot of stories going around that she was around. And apparently she pushed a picture of flowers off the wall when she didn't receive flowers on her birthday for the first time. So it was loads of little scenarios that I thought that could have been her. I got into paranormal and I just started my own channel up, and here's how far we got.
Yeah, and I just want to commend you because, like I was saying before, like Spin and I watch both shows, and our son watches them, and we've had like even the ones on mainstream cable here. Your process at the beginning of your interview is so respectful to the
Yeah.
spirits. I love your interaction with the energy, the environment, and the way you walk through and explain it not only to the viewers and the audience, but it feels as though you're interacting with the energies or the beings themselves before you even get started. Like, this is my reason for being here. This is, well, you actually set intention, and we'll get on that. But like, I love that you go through. Now, what brought you to want to further explain, because you're doing something that I haven't seen in another show where you're breaking it down for the audience. You're walking us through, you're actually daylighting your environment first and showing us like, hey, this is what this is. Don't mistake this for this. You're debunking everything before it ever could even happen. What brought you to this process and how did you get it so refined so quickly?
Well, I've been doing it for 4 years specifically, 4 years, and I was like 16 when I left school, and I'm 20 now. But for the first three, well, I say 2 or 3 years, I wasn't really doing it properly. I was with people who I left school with who wasn't doing it right. They were faking things. I had to delete a lot of videos because I used to have loads on my channel, and I just wasn't liking it because I turned around one day and saw my friend chuck just a little branch, and I thought, well, you're faking things here. I can't allow that. So I took like about 6 to 7 to 8 months break, and I like kind of came back. I thought about things and how I was going to do this, and I think when I came back, it was called the Ancient Ramin Part One. I just came back. It was one of the most haunted houses in the UK, and I just kind of came back being more myself and showing more respect to the spirits. I think before that, I was still kind of like getting out the school phase. I was still a child and I didn't quite understand it. But since I took that break, I had time to reflect on what I was doing and I come back better.
Yeah, that's actually the episode, and I'm going to encourage everybody again to go check out your channel and check out this episode. Is the Ancient Rams in? And like I have to say, even when you were doing the introduction that I was talking about, with the lights on, the orbs present in that video, like, and I don't mean it's dust particles that went across camera. I mean these things are moving directionally and like across the screen, and even at some points seemingly answering or responding or showing up when you're stating things about the spirits or even asking questions. Like, I know a lot during the interview you weren't getting the physiological responses with your equipment, but it was almost uncanny that every time you'd ask a question there would be an orb or a flash, or there was a couple of times I actually saw darker spots in the videography. Like, I have attention deficit disorder, so I watch everything to a T so I don't miss things. And
Hmm.
I just found it fascinating that as soon as you started interacting and putting your intention out with the energies in that location, they started responding. And like, I know you couldn't see it and your videographer probably couldn't see it either, but like when you guys watched that, even that 20 minutes back, when you're introing, what was your reaction to the amount of activity you were getting with the orbs?
Well, I didn't know obviously until I came back, but when I came back and saw the orbs on the camera, I was like, that's quite a lot of orbs. And somebody said to me, there's quite a lot flashing around you at this point. There's quite a lot at this point. And I mean, they could be dust particles, but then you also got to look at the fact that when other people catch them, you know, it's strange how it happens more in a building like this. And it's just strange. I mean, when I went there, there was I took 3 cat balls and 2 cat balls I came back with, I still got them. One cat ball went missing, and I think that was the cat ball that moved on the video because I had 3 cat balls, I left with 2, which was really strange.
Yeah, I noticed that like certain things you were getting certain responses, and I I felt kind of like it would have been awesome if you could have got more of a reaction with the spirit boards, which I have a question about too. But
Yeah.
being in construction as long as I was, I could also totally understand your frustration because of the temperature. I don't think a lot of people understand that when you have even two viscous surfaces that have cooled to a certain temperature, they no longer move frictionlessly across one another. It actually starts to resist. And I found it wonderful that you offered the spirits so many opportunities and different manners, be it noise, the cat balls, the EMF, the dowsing rods, the spirit board itself. And like, again, I don't often see somebody bring in and try on camera, or at least it's not edited out. Like, you gave every opportunity, and like with the dowsing rods there seemed to be a section where like they were on it, they knew what they were doing, they were answering yes and no, they were even playing, like reopened them at one point, right?
Hmm.
So like, I love the amount and extent that you give the spirit the opportunity to interact with you. And where I wanted to go was in the video you talk about not calling the spirit board the other name for it. And you've kind of got me shook on that word too, because like, is there a negative connotation attached to that word with spirits, right? Do they dislike that, or why do you call it a spirit board as opposed to the more common name?
It's because I had a spiritualist who I went to last year, and she told me about what the word Ouija means, and she just said, "Look, just call it a spirit board because you're chatting to people who are deceased, and you know they're known as spirits. They might not understand, even though they're past. They might not understand what the word Ouija means, and I mean, if you don't understand it when you're alive, then there's no telling you're going to learn a new language when you're past. So you've still got to keep things simple for them as well." And I guess that's what it was, I guess. So I just sort of said, look, don't call it that. And plus, there's
Yeah,
loads of people that they're calling it a Ouija board is bad as well. So I just kind of kept it as that.
yeah. Now, I only got to watch the first two segments. We didn't get to see the attic part. Was there much, like, is there another link to that? Because I couldn't find it.
So
Um,
we had 3 videos, but something happened with the person I filmed with. So I didn't want to upload everything because the person I filmed with was a little bit suspicious. So we kind of just deleted the third part, but there was more to the video. We just didn't upload that. Everything was deleted.
yeah, that's unfortunate because yeah, like the activity and the energy of the Ram Inn that you were at, like, do you want to, just so people get the story, do you want to give them a quick back history on, because we just kind of started talking because I literally just started or finished watching it, do you want to give them the backstory on the Ram Inn and like the guy that used to live there and all the weird shit? Sorry, I swear a lot. All the weird stuff that had gone on previous too.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the guy that used to live there was John Humphreys. I gotta think about this. John Humphreys moved in with his Caroline, who was his daughter at the time. I think she's so there's a lot of stories. Apparently, she stayed one night, and apparently she stayed more than one night. But there's obviously when it comes to a haunted building, there's loads of different opinions. I think she stayed one night, then left. But the answer isn't true on that. We don't know a definite answer. John stayed there for 3 years. He claimed he'd been abused by an incubus or a succubus, which could be like a female or male entity who wanted to do, of course, sexual things with him. They're quite weird, really. I mean, I never come across one. I also don't want to. But that's what he claimed had happened. And I think when he was doing the guided tours, things were happening, but he always used to apparently sleep in the downstairs living room because he was too scared to go up to the bedroom. So it's all quite complicated, really. But I guess we'll never know what really happened unless we were there ourselves.
Yeah. You had alluded to in the video too. I didn't write the name down. I think it was the bishop's room or something.
Yeah.
Was a very active area. Like, what was the history with that room as well? Like,
So the bishop's room is supposed to be the most haunted room there. So it's complicated. So if people don't want to hear this, they might have to just mute it for a moment. So the bishop used to be a person who would mess around with children, which of course I'm against big time. I've also caught predators myself. So it's quite nasty to hear when I went there that he used to mess around with children and that, and he tried to get into his room, and children were abused in that room basically. But it also goes to the point where like bones of children and even cats were found in the wall when John were living there.
that's really bizarre. So, like, they were renovating and just started finding stuff, or like just
Yeah. So I think they moved in and they sort of like found the stuff because like I think it's in the video if you watch it. It's like a cat skeleton sort of thing inside this tank, and that's actually the cat that was found in the wall.
that's bizarre. Um, I find it really neat some of the other stuff that you use, and I know you were having a technical issue with your EMF meter, and like we were talking before, I'm doing this weird deep dive on all these metaphysical things, and like I actually find it fascinating because like we all know we have spiritual and physical energy, and it's different, but your spiritual energy is also electromagnetic, which reasonably means you can pick that up with an EMF meter. Like, I just wanted to know like how reliable or accurate, I guess, you would think these things are. Like, I know if you point an EMF meter at like a plug-in, it's going to beep. So if you're pointing it and there's nothing in front of you and it beeps, there's likely something in front of you is the basic indicator, right?
The one thing I learned about this is obviously, like I've told you at the start of this, I've been doing it 4 years, but only about I'd say November, about 7 months properly being myself. I mean, obviously I took a long break. Now, when it comes to the K2 meter, I've learned over the years using it that also if you're holding it, it can flash because it can be faulty. A movement can set it off. So if you're holding it in your hand, it's going to set off. So I always like to put my K2 meter down on a flat surface to make sure it's not moving around.
That actually makes a lot of sense because like I was saying, everything consists of energy. So if you're yeah.
Yeah.
Uh
So that's one thing I learned myself because I mean I see a lot of videos where people are holding it and being like, "Oh God, it's flashing." It might be, it could be paranormal, but then it's also the fact that you're holding it. So I always put mine down just to make sure that I'm not holding it. I mean, there is a few videos where I've holded it in the past, where we're talking about 2 years ago. But if it comes to an investigation now, I lay it down flat on a surface. I just think that's the best idea.
so was the Rams in the first one that you came back to that you did yourself, or what was your first independent
It's actually quite a good one. I actually can't remember. Like I said, I've been doing it 4 years. I can't remember too much. Independent's going to be a strange one that I did before, but I
Yeah,
mean, even though they're all on my channel, you got all those videos. I don't like to. My own videos, I don't like to think about. I think they're just videos I made when I was a child. I kept them on there because they're there. But I think when we start from the ancient Ramin last year, I think that was where my channel really began because I took a long break. I came back. I thought about things, and I also read a lot of comments. I read a lot of people saying, you shouldn't be doing it with these people, or sometimes, people are saying that you shouldn't be doing this. I took a lot of advice. 6 months, 7 months was enough for me to realize that I'd made a lot of mistakes in 3 years. So I came back and yeah, I did that ancient ramen and I was just more myself and I felt happier doing it. I felt
yeah.
more me.
I love also that you're going to like the metaphysical community and talking to like spiritualists and stuff, because at one point you're using the spirit board and talk about how you have to do 13 rotations, right?
Yeah.
And something that Spinja and I were wondering, does that mean that portal is open for 12 hours, or you have to do the 13th hour to open the portal?
So what I was told by somebody who does it is if you go 13 around, anti-clockwise, not clockwise, then it means that you're opening an hour that isn't on the board. And that's literally all I know. That's why I took advice for. And I've I could say I've got the board to work once, but on my own, it's never worked. I will be honest, it's never ever worked. So I'm going to be honest about that. I've never got the spirit board to work on my own. So even though I'm a believer of them and I do believe they work, I can't say to you myself that I've got them to work where I've been using it alone. So I'm going to be honest
Yeah.
about that. I haven't got them to
And
work.
another technique you were using that I think is a very fundamental one, because a lot of people just kind of dismiss them being able to interact with their environment, is at some points you were just asking for a tap or a sign or a, and the click that occurred right behind you a couple of times when you specifically asked was rather fascinating. Like I know I was watching the video, but I tried to like look behind you because I heard that, like it was really that interactive. Like I felt like that was one of the most pure moments that you had with whatever energy was in that room, was like you asked and a moment later it clicked, right?
Hmm.
And that's what I was wondering as well, is like my personal theory, and I just want your take on it, is like sometimes I think when they don't interact with the equipment is because they may not be energetically charged enough, right? And it may be easier just to tap as a, instead of working with an EMF meter or whatever you guys call them. But you know what I mean? Like a simple action may be easier for the energy than to actually interact with something we have.
Well, when it comes to spirits like making sounds and clicks and that, I've actually got something to say about that myself. I mean, yes, they may make the occasional click, and sometimes they don't know how to communicate with the equipment, but I wouldn't say that's due to a lack of energy. I would just say that I personally think some spirits deserve or they feel like they should be left in peace and they don't want to make communication. And I think that's a huge part of it. I mean, like, me thinking myself, if I was gone, would I want to make communication with other people who were hunting? I'd be like, no, I'm here to rest in, peace and just see out the days. And, some people just, they can sort of do an investigation, but beg the spirits too much to make communication. I think that's what angers them. Because I haven't really had any anger in my videos. I've just had an occasional thing happen, but I haven't had anger. When people start getting anger, I think that's because they're starting to tell the spirits to, communicate now or else. I think that's what's wrong.
Yeah, that was something that we had spoke about before the show, is like the amount of respect. And before you start in the like prelude video, you actually do something again you don't see on TV or other shows, is you take the time to set your intention, which is another metaphysical practice, because you're dealing with energies of the unknown and of the paranormal, of densities and dimensions that we don't function in daily. And I just wondered, is that another thing that you picked up from a spiritualist, a practice that you've developed on your own? Like, because I know, like, we set daily intentions because you interact with other people's day-to-day energy, and it's like, I don't want that to disrupt me. So especially in the situation where you're in non-visible energies. Sorry, I'm babbling, but what got you
It's
into
good that
setting
you're
intentions?
babbling. It's good that you're babbling. I love people who talk. I mean, it's good to hear people who do talk. I mean, when people are silent, it's quite bad. Yeah, I mean, I had a spiritualist, but she still is definitely a spiritualist. I mean, I don't go to her as per se, but I went to her in October for a session. She wasn't too great, so I hope she's not watching this. But she didn't get much, and she didn't get anything really. She just kind of went with assumptions, and I believe she's the sort of person who tries to do what she wants to say she can do, but can't. I believe she's a bit of a scam in my opinion, but she still knows certain things like advice and stuff like that. And she said to me all sorts of stuff. She I mean, I got it right here actually. It's right on my bed. I don't know if it actually works or anything, but I wear it anyway. It's an obsidian necklace. She
Okay.
sold me this, and apparently it takes away the negativity of what a spirit is trying to give you. So I wear that, and I also keep it on the side of my bed. I sleep next to it every night. So it's just give me some good advice, I guess. I mean, some people wear a cross, some people wear a necklace, some people wear a bracelet, but I keep that on my bed.
Yeah, I've actually coined a term for people in our community. Like I said, I investigate a lot about paranormal, black op programs, all of these things. There's always a large group. For every shaman, there is a large group of charlatans, right? For every one person that can do what they're saying, there's going to be 50 that try to fuck you and fake you out. Pardon my language, but that's what it comes down to in our community. And it's terrible because it really hampers people like you trying to get disclosure, understanding energies, understanding like interaction with spirits from beyond, and it really muddies the water, which is I do hope the one that you interacted with was sincere, but it's something that I hope everybody watching takes into account too, is there's a lot of people just doing this for the dollar or pound. I'm just telling you.
I mean, I've got a friend, I won't mention his name because I've known him for about 2 years. But he's a good friend in certain ways, but when it comes to this sort of stuff, he's not. I mean, he says that he's got this sort of ability where he can see spirits, but he can't control it. And I mean, whether it's true or not, it's up to him. But I mean, there's been times where I went on an investigation with him once, and he said there was a spirit over there, like to the right of him, and I was like, "There's nothing there." And I had this like SLS thing on and all sorts of stuff, radars, everything, and I'm saying, "There's nothing there picking up on my camera." He said, "There is there," but I think some people just like to make out they can do it because they feel trusted more in this sort of field. So it's complicated why they do it, but maybe it's because they feel trusted more or anything like that. But
No,
I mean,
I
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I mean, when it comes to myself, the Ouija board hasn't worked on my own. It's only ever worked when I've been in a group. So, in my opinion, could it have been pushed? I mean, in my own way, I'm still investigating everything myself. I mean, I can't say that they work. I can't say they don't. I got to find out.
yeah. You had alluded to like being aggressive with the energies and stuff and then getting reactions based on that. Something that crossed my mind watching your investigation was like, do you ever run into not negative energies, but like um tricksters or energies that are kind of toying with you? It feels like, yeah, I'll answer your question. No, just no, I'm not gonna do that. No, I go, okay, I'll talk to you. Like, because I've heard the myths and legends about like evil entities and imps and tricksters and things like that. Do you think that there's ever a chance that those are the things that are trying? Because, like I said, you do set the intention that nothing is allowed to harm you, but it may also be able to touch your toys or give you false signs or give you signs and then just fuck with you.
I'll agree with that because my like I said at the start, my cat ball went missing, which was strange. As I went with 3 cat balls, I left with 2. And I mean, I've had a few people telling me cat balls aren't paranormal items, don't use them. But regardless of what they say, I'm still going to use them. I mean, I listen to myself, not the people. I mean, I upload the videos, but people agree with them or not, it's up to them. But when they tell me that I'm wrong for using cat balls, I disagree. I mean, if I find them to be used by spirits, I'm going to use them more. And when I went to the ancient ram inn, it definitely moved on its own. I mean, you could argue that maybe the traffic outside was vibrating and rocked the table, but the table to me looked pretty steady, and it looks to me like the cat ball moves a little bit, then moves back the other direction, then moves the other direction, then moves again. So to me, it looks like it was properly moving.
Yeah, that's what I saw as well. And also, there was a couple of times like you touched the table at different pressure levels or the way your hand or the rods would interact.
Yeah,
And I know the cat balls that you're using because we have a cat. You actually have to hit them. So like the one, it was obvious that you bumped the table, it did that. But there was a couple of times where you were like, I don't know if that was me. And I don't think it was because I don't think, my personal opinion, I don't think you touched the table hard enough to cause the reaction of the cat toy. And
yeah,
as to what you were saying about, you know, oh, a cat toy isn't this. Well, I've seen people bring dinky cars and all types of knickknacks and trinkets to all types of investigations. So anybody that's trying to broad scope and say this is the way you do it is, in my opinion, rather narrow minded
yeah.
because you don't tell the energies of the universe what they can interact with. If they want to touch the toy car, they're going to touch the toy car.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry for sounding
no, I
sarcastic
mean,
there,
I
but
absolutely agree with that. I think that if an entity wants to attract with something or use something, they're going to use it regardless, aren't they? I mean, if somebody tells you to touch a toy, I mean, it's your choice. Somebody tells me to touch a toy, it's my choice. But it's the same with a spirit. I mean, if their energy is going to go on it, it's up to them what they do. I mean, like when you hear people or see people saying, not once for no, twice for yes, or twice for no, once for yes, it's up to the spirit. Regardless of how anybody
yeah.
sees that investigation tactic, is up to the spirit. I mean, we have no control over what they do.
Well, and especially in that situation, as you had mentioned earlier, there was quite a good chance that some of the energy may have been with children. I'm just going to give you a basic sense of logic here. If I was a kid, I'd rather play with a shiny, flashy ball than an EMF meter. So I think what you did was absolutely logical. It
Hmm.
attracts a potential energy in the investigation because you knew your potential audience. Brought something that may amuse a child. It perfectly logical to me, but that's just me, and I'm not an investigator. Speaking of which, if somebody was just to like found somewhere or even in their own home wanted to just start checking energies out and like seeing if they can interact with anything, where do you lie on like tape recording things just in your own, like, you know how people like ask a question and then leave the tape recorder running and see what's on the tape? Do you think that's a viable at home beginner step to do your own basic ghost investigations?
I mean, that's quite a hard one. I mean, I've done a lot off camera, of course. I actually went ghost hunting the other week off camera. I think I told you what my mate I went with, who said he saw the spirit by the side of him. So I do a lot off camera, but I don't know. It depends what you're going to do with. I mean, most of us record the footage. Depends what you're going to do with the footage. If you're using it just for personal reasons, I don't have an issue with that. If you're using it for personal reasons, I mean, when it comes to me, I used to be a YouTube partner myself. I was once had adverts on my videos, but I got banned and stuff because I was hence swearing too much. I used to say a lot of swear words. So I got banned. I still swear. I don't let YouTube stop me. And I thought, if I get my YouTube thing back, because I'm currently reapplying, I'm not going to use it because I'm not going to let YouTube take away my ability to be who I am. And I swear a lot anyway, it's just who I am. So I'm not going to let YouTube sort of take that away from me. And I think it depends what the person doing the investigation thinks. If they don't want to, use other people's tactics, they'll use their own. So it sort of goes the same sort of way. They'll use their own tactics.
Yeah. And as I was saying when we started, you're in the UK, I'm here in North America. What is the basic paranormal culture or feel in society? Like here, there's like a close knit community of people. Like once you start finding one person in North America that's involved in the paranormal, ghost hunting, or anything, you attract like energies. But there's also like if you go just beyond into normal society, like if you try to tell people I interviewed a ghost hunter today, the common response be why? The common response is why? And it's like, because do you have like no fascination of the universe? Do you not want to know? Like I don't know how it is over in the UK, but like do people generally accept the paranormal, or is it kind of like two separate streams of thought like it is here?
Over here, I think you can be. There's a word we use for it. It's called frowned upon. It means they look at you like you're weird. I mean, over here, if I tell somebody that I'm a ghost hunter, they're gonna look at me like it's a bit strange. I'm like, okay, but it depends who you're telling, really. I mean, if you're just telling anyone, then it's just not going to be right. I mean, if I went to town right now and told everybody I was hunting a spirit, they look at me like I'm mad. So it depends who you're telling. I mean, if people have got the interest, they're going to believe you and they're going to be supportive. But if they don't have the interest, they're just going to think you're crazy and end of. I mean, it's a bit crazy, really, but that's what they think. I mean, obviously where I am, I mean, I'm not big by any means, but where I am, people know what I do. So if I go to my local town and I'm shopping, I might not see them for 5 or 6 times I go, but then the seventh or eighth time I might see them. It'll be a group of people, be like, "Oh, he's the ghost hunter who lives around here," and they all calling me. I'm like, "Yes, that's me, that's me." And they'll start taking the mick out of me. They'll start saying, ghosts are fake, or they'll say to me, "Have you caught any ghosts recently?" But they'll mean it in a bad way. So around here,
Yeah.
it's sort of frowned. It's quite strange.
Oh yeah, like I actually just had somebody add and delete me on my Facebook. I don't know why they bothered, but like
Hmm.
literally came onto my page, made two rude comments, the last one implying that am a pothead, which I openly am, and then like deleted themselves from my page. And I was like, what was the point of that interaction? Like you clearly, and that's what I think I'm getting at is like I don't understand the intent of people when they do like what you're talking about and what was done to me on Facebook is like, why did you even bother wasting your time to tell me you don't believe me or you think I'm nuts? Like, what benefit did that do? Right? It's just one of those stigmas that you just kind of get past in the paranormal community, and I just wondered if it was the same over there as it is here, and clearly it's a human trait, not a North American trait, is what I was wondering.
Hmm. Yeah,
um
it can be crazy. It just depends who you're telling, I think.
yeah, yeah, if people are into it they'll be like, oh, that's great, I want to hear more. But if you kind of been passing, like I have friends that, like, I mean friends that I've known for 40 of the 46 years I've been here, that don't watch my shows because they think I'm. And it's like, yeah, okay, you're talking to people that think they're in a secret space program or saw a dragon or a ghost or what. And it's like, yeah, because I do. That's what I do. I talk to people that have experiences and they're like, oh, but no, it's some people can't accept that part of reality yet. And it's, it's an interesting crossover and you almost have to be careful with it.
Hmm. I agree. I mean,
Um,
I just be careful who you're telling.
yeah, absolutely. Um, so like I said, everybody's going to want to check the Ancient Ram in out. Do you have any others on your channel or upcoming that you're working on that you want to let everybody know about, and projects you got upcoming?
So yes, there will be loads of projects. I've obviously been to the Shrewsbury prison around here. I've been to the Skirrid Inn, the Ancient Ramen, as you've seen, which you've been talking about. But other locations, I'm going to say it. The one I really want to go to the most, but I haven't got a passport yet, is Rhode Island. You probably know it already before I even mention it. The Conjuring House. I'm a big fan of the Conjuring movies. I'm a big fan of everything that they've made. You know, all three movies and the fourth one that's coming out. I really want to go, and I got another friend who lives over the States. Keith Johnson, you probably know who he is. I think everybody does. He was speaking to me about it, and it just made me even more convinced to go over. So I really want to go over and check out this Conjuring House.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That was big over here when it came out as well. And yeah, that absolutely, I would love to see that on your channel if you get the green light to go see that because I, yeah. Shoot, I just blanked my memory there again. Oh, that's horrible. I apologize. Give me 1 second.
Hmm.
Wow. I just completely gapped it. Oh, that's what I was going to ask because we didn't get an opportunity to see if anything of what came about up in the attic is what I was wondering about that.
So what was in the attic was I'm just trying to find. Here it is. What was in the attic was a bit more stranger. So these are the two cat balls I have. I obviously went with three. Obviously they both work and that. But in the attic, not much happened. But it was in the attic that I felt not a spiritual connection to, but more of a personal connection to, because I knew that's where Caroline, who currently owned the property, was staying when she was there for that night or the night she was there. That's what she says. So I felt more of a connection to that sort of area of the house. I don't know what it was, but I think because she was there, it sort of included me in it more. And I think these cat balls, obviously we had three, and obviously you saw the one that moved. And I think that was the one that went missing because I woke up the next day and I was like, I say woke up. I got up. I didn't actually go to sleep. I just sort of sat on the couch for about 2 hours with my friend. And we wondered where the third one was. And he didn't know where it was. I didn't know where it was. And then we used this thing called a pendulum that we had. It's also in the video. And the pendulum was spinning yes to certain questions. And as far as I'm concerned, there was a male entity who wanted the cat ball and he kept it. So we let him have it. I mean, again, though, pendulums can be it's something I've always said, and I'm still investigating it. It's involuntary movement. Is like using these pendulums, using these boards, can things move on their own?
Yeah, it's interesting because my partner and I actually just did something. We just finished doing a quantum healing or quantum health transformation program with a lady here in Alberta. And we actually went to visit her and she was showing us how to measure our heart chakra. And that's why I find the rods that you use really interesting too, because she used a similar device. And what she did is like, okay, just be yourself. And she measured with a rod how far back your heart's energy field went. And then when it fell to the side, it meant it was no longer affected by the energy. Have a bad thought, and it was almost like no distance, it would flop away. Have a good thought, and the energy was like 25 feet away. And that's another question I wanted to get your take on is like, we learned like, okay, if you use a divining rod for water or measuring heart energy, it's the electromagnetic frequency in the air. Do you think that's the same type of interaction that the spirit would be having with it as well, is literally just using their energy because they don't even have to touch it at that point, they're just moving it?
Hmm. With me, as like I said, with all the equipment, I can't even say they work or they don't. All I know is that I use them and I film it. I mean, that's all I know at this moment in time. I'm still investigating it. I mean, I'm trying to find out what involuntary movement is, and to me, that's quite a big thing to me because involuntary movement, it's all in the head. It's like you can use the spirit board, but not realize you're moving it, even though you are. It's like, you know, if you're going to say, is this person Kelly? And you got a loved one called Kelly, your head's going to move it to yes without you even thinking because it's all involuntary. You can't control it. And that's something I'm trying to investigate. I just can't understand it because I've tried asking questions online of things I don't know, but then I can't get my board to work on my own. So it's hard to prove. I just don't see where the answer is, but I'm going to get there one day.
No, it's absolutely fascinating. And I love that I'm getting to interview you as you're just kind of resetting and really coming into this. And it seems like you take it very seriously. And I love your entire procedure and the way you're going at it. Like I said, it just seems far more respectful than a lot of shows I've seen. Your your explanation process that you take everybody through, and like that's like what I was saying. Like you debunk things before they can even possibly be bunk, because it's
Yes, I,
like,
I,
no,
I
this
will be
is done.
honest. I mean, I will be honest with you. I mean, when I first started doing it, like I said, 4 years ago, I was 16. I would personally say that's a spirit. And those videos are also on my channel for you to watch, for anyone to watch. I mean, I would say anybody's a spirit, and I'd be like, that's a spirit, and it could be anything. But then, last year when I, took that long break, I thought I need to stop doing this because people are like, well, no. And people were obviously laughing at me at that point. And I was like, but I've thought to myself, I'm not going to delete the old videos for one reason. So people can see that I've come back improved and they can see how I improved. So they can watch my old ones and see where I was 16, 17, not knowing what I was talking about. And then they can see where I'm actually 20. I've taken a long break and I've come back actually doing it properly. I think that's what helped me out better.
Yeah. No, and I think that's the best part of it. I like that you're coming back to it with a fresh and more mature energy, because like it does it feels like, as a viewer, especially in that video, I was getting to learn along with you. Like it's like, okay, they're reacting to this. I'm gonna try this and see if I can get these two to work together. Right.
Hmm.
And then it was like, okay, no, that didn't work. What about this? Like I love that you're giving the energies and the opportunity for everything in the scenario to take place and recording it. I think it's an absolutely great process that you're developing.
Yes, I mean, it took me a long time to realize, but I thought at the end of the day, it's not what my opinion is, it's what they give me. I mean, I can't go on an investigation and make the spirits talk to me and make them communicate somehow. It's whether they want to. I mean, like I said before, it's up to them. I can't force them. They don't want to, they don't want to. If they want to, they want to. So I upload anything I film, really. If I film now and I don't get no activity, I just upload it because it's showing to people that, you get these investigators who go out there and they make out that a chair is flown in every video. They make out that a cupboard is pushed over, and it's just not right because it's not. I mean, if you go on an investigation and start doing them yourself, you will see that things don't happen every single time. You can do 5 investigations and get nothing, and then might get one investigation where you get something. But I'd rather catch that one thing that has actually happened than be like those people were saying they're getting something every single time. Because you see loads of it. I mean, I've seen loads of videos where people have said they're doing these investigations and things are happening and all sorts of things. I mean, you can watch a video and I won't mention names due to obviously them being them, but you see videos where people have made out that, cupboards are slammed against doors, things have been thrown across the room, mirrors have been thrown off the wall, and it's just nonsense. I used to watch it all myself, so I can't really judge people who do watch it. But when I started investigating myself, I started to realize that that wasn't a reality. When you do it yourself, you will see that it only happens occasionally, if they want
Yeah.
to. So it's all a learning experience. I mean, nobody's wrong, nobody's right. But I think, you know, everybody has their own way.
And something that, this again is my theory, and I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong. Sometimes a lot of what I think may take place as well is there are some energetically, psychically powerful individuals that are deeply in the belief system that these things are real and may even be able to telepathically make shit move or fall or creak or
That's a
bang.
good point. I'll agree with that on a certain extent. I mean, that's a really good point. I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to go on to that. So when it comes to like, you know, whatever you call it, telekinesis, is that what it's called? It's
Yeah,
quite strange. So
telekinesis.
I was having a chat with a friend of mine before, and we were both on about it. It was like, can people actually move things on an investigation without thinking? Because I don't know if telekinesis actually works or not, but I do know that if somebody's thinking about it too much, will that thing just move because they're putting all that thought into it? Is like the energy going into it? I mean, that's a factor I haven't considered, but I've discussed many times with a few friends. It's strange. I mean, like, if something does go flying, did you make it go flying without thinking you did? It's
Yeah.
it's a good point. Can you be doing it
No,
accidentally?
it's a theory that I've kind of been taking into account in my own life because it even goes as far as like, wow, I'm having a really bad run of luck when I'm in this mood. Like, oh, everything keeps falling. Why did the drawer fall on my foot? I just dropped my toast on the ground. Everything keeps happening. And it's like, am I doing this to myself?
Hmm.
You actually have to start to question, like, am I knocking shit out of my own way just because I'm irritated? Am I and I that's where I was wondering if you thought it did overlap, and you explained it wonderfully that it definitely may be. It's a probability. And that's the world of the paranormal, is most of what we get into are probabilities and possibilities. This isn't science, and it can't be proven, but it can be experienced. And I love that you're bringing this to the forefront. I think the paranormal ghost show boom came and went, and like you said, a lot of it was faked and left a sour taste in people's mouths. But what you're doing now seems to be coming from a genuine place of honesty, because I mentioned that several times to my partner, is like, I love that nothing's happening. And she looks at me, I'm like, because he's not trying to fake it,
Hmm.
right? Because, oh, the Ouija board moved. Oh, no, you didn't do that. You even went as far as
There's
to
one thing
explain
I
why the
experienced
spirit
with,
probably couldn't.
I mean, there is one thing I experienced with the Ouija board that night, but I mean, I think I mentioned it in the video. I knew exactly what it was. The Ouija board did move, but I don't think it worked. I think what happened was because of how the area was, because it was cold and the board was. I mean, I've still got it here. If I just show you when it's sample, here it is here. I've got two. I got this big one here, and I've got another small one underneath my bed, which is what I'm sitting next to. And they can they can look like they're moving, but they're not. I think what half of it is where you're just putting your hand on it, and because of the pressure from the evening, the coldness as well, even the temperature can affect it. Because if it's a warm board and it's cold, it's going to start to move and start to scrabble about. Again, it's all involuntary movement. So I didn't class it as actual moving. Like I said to my friend that night, I said, I think I'm moving it here without realizing. I put the board away because I think that's what I was doing. I was moving the board without even realizing I was moving it. So the board went away. So
Oh,
it's all pretty strange.
no. And like I said, I love the tack that you take, that if nothing happens, nothing happens. If you think it's you, you say you think it's you. Like, it's refreshing to see it come from a non Hollywood produced, oh, something happens in every episode focus point. Like, no, this is a creepy place, come check this out with me. And I again really encourage everybody to go over and check your channel. I want to thank you for your time, and I don't know if I woke you up earlier, if it's later. I know there's 7 hours difference between us. I just don't know which way is what I'm getting at. It's
No,
like
it's
11
fine. It's
o'clock in the
fine.
morning.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's only like just kind of 6 o'clock over here in the evening. I mean, last
Oh,
night
okay.
I was up 3 a.m. I was up to 3 a.m. Not gonna lie, I was up watching. You've seen Breaking Bad, I'm pretty sure, or you heard of it.
Yeah.
I was. I
Yeah.
mean, it's my third time watching it through. I'm obsessed, so I was watching that all night. So yeah,
Oh,
I was free.
there's a full length movie coming out.
Is it?
Yeah, they're supposed to be doing. I think it's either a prequel or Walter escaped his death. I'm not sure. I just seen
That'd be
something on
good.
social
That'd be
media
good.
that,
That would be good because
yeah.
I've always
So
tried to like believe that he didn't really die. I've always tried to believe that.
Yeah, there's a rumbling going around in North America that there is a full length film coming, and it's one of two of those principles. It's either the prequel or it's Walter Escaped. But yeah,
I think
keep an eye
Walter
out for that.
would be one worth watching.
Yeah. Um, but no, absolutely. Thank you for your time, Jared, and thank you for sharing everything. And like I said, I encourage everybody to go over to Ghosthunteruk.xx UK and like and subscribe because it is an amazing channel with some awesome videos. And if you want to know the truth about anything that happened in any of them, shoot him a comment because Jared is a hell of an honest guy that'll tell you the truth. So again, thank you everybody for coming.
I want to
Thank
add
you
one thing in.
for
I want to add one thing in. I've had
go ahead.
loads of podcasts. I've had loads of podcasts over the past say 4 years, 3 years. You've got to be one of the most genuine people who have done this podcast with. You know your answers,
Thank
you know
you.
what to ask, and you obviously was prepared before you went into this, which is what was good. I've had loads of people who've had to think about questions on the spot. You obviously prepare your shows. That's good to hear. So it's I just hope you keep this up. I'll of course share all your videos out there. Send them to me on Messenger on my page. There you go.
And yeah, I just want to this is kind of a spoiler, but this will come out later on digital media as well because this show actually just got picked up by the Forbidden Knowledge News Network, which is hosted by Chris Matthews and airs multiple podcasts off of one location. So as of like Wednesday, this podcast will be on all of the platforms, not just my YouTube channel. So it is an honor to have you as one of the guests that will be on Apple, Spotify, iTunes, all of that wonderfulness that comes with being part of my new network that I have been so graciously brought into. So I thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And see you later.
Bye bye.